What's up, guys? It's your boys Wokey back with another Chris Watts video. And this one has me wanting to watch screamed all over it because Chris Watts 2025, Why Jim and Nichol Kessinger Must Be Interrogated. New evidence changes everything. Now, with new evidence, it's definitely a red flag for new when it comes to the Watts case because there's really nothing new around besides if somebody comes out and pretty much says, hey, Nicole did it or whatever. But we're really not going to find anything out until probably 2029. But call me intrigued with this video. Who is Jim of 2025? Let's get into it. But before we go any further, make sure you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel by hitting that wiper icon down at the bottom right. Hit that bell icon next to it. So when I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that ring notification that I've posted that video. Then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, I thank you guys so very much. Also, go over to the channel that we're watching is True Crime Stories in HD. If you guys don't want to watch with me, I completely understand. Go over to his channel, subscribe, comment, like, and share. But for those that want to watch with me, let's get into it.
There's a name you've never heard in the Watts case. A co-worker, a friend, someone who was there before, during, and suspiciously quiet after. In 2025, new information has surfaced that should make every investigator revisit August 2018. This isn't conspiracy. This is pattern recognition. And the pattern points to Jim. But before we go further, before I show you what I've uncovered, you need to understand why this story almost didn't reach you. Sean and...
Again, this is an AI channel, I presume, so it's definitely take with a grain of salt. Some of these AI channels are like astronomically out of this world on some of these theories, but yeah.
Watts, 34 years old. A mother who loved fiercely. Bella, 4 years old. She said, "Daddy, no," in her final moments. Celeste, 3 years old. Still clutching her blanket. Nico, the son who never took his first breath. As investigators, we follow facts. But as humans, we remember victims. Drop an amen below if you still believe their story deserves peace.
Amen.
Their story didn't end with Chris Watts' confession. Because Chris Watts didn't act in a vacuum. And that's where Jim enters the picture.
Say what? Chris Watts.
Confession. Because Chris Watts didn't
act in a vacuum? Huh? You mean act alone?
Act in a vacuum. And that's where Jim enters the picture. I need to be honest with you. What you're about to hear, this investigation, it's cost me sleepless nights, legal consultations, hitting walls that shouldn't exist in 2025. Getting information on Jim hasn't been easy. Records that should be public, delayed. Former co-workers, silent. There's a reason his name was barely mentioned in 2018. And that reason,
or why we're supposed to leave him alone,
that's what we're uncovering. As an investigative reporter working without a major network behind me, every document, every interview, every lead, it takes resources. If you believe in truth, in justice for Sean and Bella, Celeste, and Nico, I'm asking you to stand with this investigation. Your support gives me the tools to keep digging. Jim, for legal reasons, we're using his first name only. Here's what we know. Worked at Anadarko Petroleum, same location as Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger.
Did he? Jim worked at Anadarko? He did have the same type of education that Miss Nicole Kessinger had, of the geosciences. So, I mean, it could possibly be.
Friends with Nicole, not just colleagues. Friends. Worked in proximity to the oil fields where the bodies were hidden, had access to site security codes, never formally interviewed by investigators. Never formally interviewed. June 2018. Chris Watts.
I can't believe that they listened to her. She said, leave Jim alone. They're like, okay. That's just like a red flag in itself to go talk to him.
Watts and Nicole Kessinger begin their affair. July 2018. Nicole confides in Jim about relationship troubles, verified through text metadata. August 11, 2018. Jim calls in sick, the Saturday before the murders. August 13, 2018.
Where is this person's data about this? Like the proof of it.
The Watts family is eliminated. August 14th to 15th. Jim deletes his social media, all of it. August 16th, 2018. Jim's truck is seen on surveillance near Serva 319. The oil site. The grave site. Nicole Kessinger.
Hold on. All right, so the information that I have from somebody the other day, I'm not going to say the company's name, but I think it's part of what Anadarko used to be. The job title is a lead well site geologist and geosteering consultant. Interesting. Let's continue.
Name everyone knows. But here's what you don't know about her and Jim. 47 calls between Nicole and Jim in July 2018 alone. 8 calls the week of the murders. 2 calls the morning of August 13th. Hours before Sean and return from Arizona their final call? 1:47 a.m. August 15th. Duration: 28 minutes. What do you say to a coworker at 1:47 in the morning when a family...
I mean, if they're friends, she said that he's a good friend of the family.
Has just been reported missing. Nicole's notorious Google searches are public record. Can cops trace text messages Shanann Watts searched a year before she claims she knew about her? But Jim's searches? Wiped. Phone replaced. 2 days after Chris' arrest. Nicole Kessinger received immunity. Limited but immunity. Her father, it's been reported, interfered with evidence collection. But Jim disappeared from the narrative entirely. Why? I want to pause here because what we're building, you and me, it's bigger than one video. This is about accountability. This is about those 3 beautiful souls not being forgotten. I see your comments. Why hasn't Jim been investigated? Where is Nicole Kessinger in 2025? Why did law enforcement stop here? These questions matter. Your voice matters.
Because of her immunity that she was given. Not protective witness or not witness protection program, because what she claimed as bombshell evidence pretty much threw Chris under the bus so she could get her freedom, and they were like, yeah, we'll give you a deal.
Algorithm shows this content to more people when you engage. When you ask these questions, when you share your theories, when you demand answers. So I'm asking, what's your theory about Jim? Comment below.
There's a lot of theories about Jim.
Build this investigation together. Because the more attention this gets, the harder it becomes to ignore. Let's talk about what investigators should have asked about Jim. Survey 319. The site where Bella and Celeste were placed in oil tanks. Sean and buried in a shallow grave nearby. This wasn't random. Whoever helped Chris, or gave him information, knew which tanks were inactive, how to avoid security cameras when minimal staff would be present, the access codes. Jim had all of this knowledge. Chriswatts' story: he acted alone. Drove to the site alone.
No, he didn't.
Disposed of his family alone. But here's the problem. 5:27 a.m. Neighbor's camera shows Chris's truck leaving with bodies. 6:15 a.m. Chris Watts' truck arrives at Serva 319. GPS data. 6:17 a.m. First gate opens. 7:08 a.m. Second vehicle appears.
You can really tell that the AI is reading everything on this one.
Appears on nearby road camera. License plate obscured. 7:52 a.m. Chris Watts texts. Done. Done. 47 minutes to carry 3 bodies. Lower 2 into tanks. Bury 1. Clean up. Compose himself. Experts say it's possible. But barely. Now consider, what if he had help?
Not the experts that I've talked to. They're like, there's no way in hell this man did what he did in that time.
This was never released to the public, but through FOIA requests, we found something chilling. Jim's phone pinged a cell tower 2.3 miles from Server 319 at 7:14 a.m. on August 13th. His statement? He was homesick. The cell tower data says otherwise. Nicole Kessinger sat for hours of interrogation. Her story changed. Her timeline shifted. But eventually, she walked away. Jim never interrogated, never polygraphed, never asked, "Where were you the morning of August 13th? Why did you delete your social media? Why did you replace your phone? What did Nicole tell you about Chris? Did you know Shannon was in danger?" Chris Watts failed his polygraph. That's how his confession started. Nicole Kessinger refused a polygraph. That's when she got immunity discussions. Jim was
I don't know if that went that way.
never offered a polygraph, because Jim was never considered a suspect. But in 2025, independent investigators, people like me, people like the followers of this case, we're asking, why not? Nicole Kessinger's father. Reports suggest he interfered with evidence collection, coached his daughter, potentially disposed of items. If true, that's obstruction of justice. But he was never charged. Why? Because charging him means reopening questions about Nicole. And reopening questions about Nicole means asking about Jim. And asking about Jim means admitting the investigation was incomplete. I'm going to ask something of you.
And that's going to make some people in the higher up area look bad.
And I don't ask lightly. This case, Shannon, Bella, Celeste, Nico, they can't speak for themselves anymore. Their story has been controlled by a narrative that says, one evil man, case closed.
Or they say that Shanann's evil because she wanted to be a leadership woman. Like, really?
But what if it's not closed? What if there are people walking free who had knowledge, who had involvement, who have never answered for it?
Nicole,
I've dedicated months to this. Lost sleep. Faced pushback. Been told to let it go.
I've been told to let it go. There's been people that have been doing this since day one. 7 years in the making. I've only been doing this for 1.5 to 2 years. There's people that have been doing it for 7.
But I won't. Not while there are unanswered questions. Not while Jim remains a ghost in this story. If this matters to you, if justice matters to you, make this impossible to ignore. Share this. Send it to someone who covered the case. Tag investigators. Tag journalists. Tag anyone who said this case was over.
Tag anybody.
Because with enough voices, enough pressure, enough light, maybe, finally, Jim has to answer the question. What do you know? Chris Watts sits in Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin.
I mean, I even heard the theory, so far-fetched, that Jim was eliminated because he might have spoke, or he was going to try to speak. And it's like, where do you guys come up with this stuff?
Protective custody. Segregated from general population. Why? Because even among...
And Jim's other place that's in Wisconsin is an hour from Chris. That's the weird thing.
Criminals, there's a code. And family annihilators, especially those who hurt children, they're at the bottom. Chris Watts receives regular threats. Has been moved multiple times. Lives in a cell 23 hours a day. Eats alone. Will die alone. Some call this karma. Others say it's not enough.
It's not.
Colorado abolished the death penalty.
It's too comfortable in there for him.
In 2020. But even in 2018, prosecutors chose not to seek it in exchange for information on the body's locations. Should Chris Watts have received the death?
They were already out there way before Chris confessed. Because Nicole blabbed off. She told them where to go.
Penalty? Here's the deeper question. If Jim was involved, should he be facing the same sentence? Chris Watts' defense attorneys considered a mental illness defense. It was abandoned when Chris confessed. Was Chris Watts mentally ill? Experts are divided. No history of violence, no diagnosed conditions past psychological evaluations at work. Or was he
He's just stupid.
Simply a man who wanted a new life and saw his family as obstacles. And if it's the latter, what does that say about anyone who helped him? Here's what's happened in 2025 that makes this case relevant.
They deserve to be questioned, analyzed, interrogated, and punished to the full length of the law if they were in some shape or form involved.
Again, a former Anadarko employee, we'll call her Sarah, reached out to me. Sarah worked in HR. She was never interviewed in 2018. She told me this. The week after the murders, she was asked to pull Jim's personnel file, then told to hold off on sending it to investigators. Who told her? Her supervisor. Who gave that instruction? Unknown. That file contained Jim's work history, access credentials, disciplinary records. It was never turned over. In January 2025, a woman matching Nicole Kessinger's description was spotted in Charlotte, North Carolina, believed to be living under a new name.
No.
Jim has family in Charlotte. Coincidence? The true crime community has kept this case alive. Thousands analyzing phone records, mapping timelines, finding inconsistencies. Increasingly, they're asking about Jim. Jim's LinkedIn disappeared in 2019.
No, it didn't.
His property records show
Somebody found his profile, and I've seen it.
a home sale within months of the murders. A restraining order filed in 2020. Details sealed. What was Jim hiding from? Legal experts told me, if evidence shows Jim had foreknowledge, assisted, or lied, he can still be charged. Colorado has no statute of limitations on murder.
It is interesting that we were supposed to leave him alone.
Could Jim have informal immunity? Possibly. If he provided information in exchange for not being pursued. If that's true, what did he tell them? And why wasn't it enough? If Nicole's father interfered, coached her, disposed of evidence, that's obstruction. Prosecutable. Why no charges? Because charging him means reopening the case. Imagine if every person who cares about this case made one move. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me. For them. It tells YouTube's algorithm. This matters. It tells journalists. People still care. It tells Jim. You're not hidden anymore. Leave a comment. Justice. Peace. Truth. Amen. Whatever moves you. When this video hits 10 million views, when the comments reach 100,000, when investigators see that the public hasn't forgotten, maybe finally, Jim has to answer. Let me walk you through the leading theories about Jim's involvement. Theory 1. The unwitting accessory. Chris confides in Nicole. Nicole vents to Jim. Jim gives info about work sites, not knowing what Chris plans. Afterward, he panics, deletes evidence. Possible, but doesn't explain his phone location or the 1:47 a.m. call. Theory 2. The information source. Jim knowingly provides Chris with information about Survey 319, unused tanks, security gaps, thinking it's about divorce, not murder. Afterward, he hides it. More plausible. Theory 3. The active participant. Jim is present at Survey 319. Helps Chris. 47 minutes makes sense with two people. Nicole
There was multiple footprints out there.
possibly knows. Explains everything, but hardest to prove. What do you believe? Comment 1, 2, 3, or your own theory. We close. Here are the questions that keep me up at night. To Jim. Where were you the morning of August 13th?
Well, apparently Nicole has an alibi with Jim. So, and she wants us to leave Jim alone? That's suspicious.
Why delete your social media? What was the 1:47 a.m. call? Why did your phone ping near Survey 319? What did Nicole tell you about Chris? To Nicole. Why did you search Shanann's name a year before you claim you knew her? What did you tell Jim? Why refuse a polygraph? Where are you in 2025? Did you know Chris's plans? To Nicole's father. Did you interfere with evidence? Did you coach her? Why were you never charged? To law enforcement. Why was Jim never interviewed? Who decided that? Is there an immunity deal?
Yeah.
Will you reopen this case? These questions deserve answers. Until they get them, this case isn't closed. Shannon Watts loved her daughters fiercely. Bella loved her little sister. Celeste was shy and sweet. Nico never got to be held by his
Shy, sweet, and like a tornado, it looked like.
his mother. Chris Watts took all that away. And he may not have acted alone.
I don't think
As
he did.
investigators, we follow facts. As humans, we remember victims. Shannon, Bella, Celeste, Nico. Say their names in the comments. Keep their memory alive. Because when we remember them, we demand justice. And
I'm kind of curious as to the comments. Let's see what the comments say. The comments down below. I'm so glad this is being investigated. Nicole refused the polygraph. Oh, there's me. I don't think Jim worked at Anadarko. He worked in this same field. A menage a trio. Quit listening to her. Do your job and question him. Oh, yes. Three-way with Jim. Ew, yep. So definitely it's looking like the comment people or the followers of this channel want the same thing. We want to talk to Jim. Why did we have to leave Jim alone? Jim was an alibi, but yet you don't want us to talk to him? That's suspicious. Just saying. Put your comments down below. Let it all out, guys. Let it out. Show the people of this case what they messed up on. I know it's probably NK got immunity. She got a deal, and that's why she's not arrested, because she gave information about Chris. That's not right. That's not justice. That's people trying to benefit themselves by getting positions and making it look like they got it done fast. And that's not justice. That's just people helping themselves. Again, comment your thoughts down below. Hit the like button. Subscribe for more. We will see you guys in the next video. Please take care. Be safe. As always, keep nerding on, and we will see you guys in the next video.